Los aliados de la OTAN dicen que su alianza solo sobrevivirá si Rusia es derrotada en su guerra contra Ucrania. Los 32 países han anunciado una serie de nuevos compromisos para Kiev mientras Rusia continúa atacando áreas civiles. Los aliados enviarán 5 nuevos sistemas de defensa aérea Patriot a Ucrania.
Well, I think the Patriot systems are pretty important in terms of they're able to intercept hypersonic missiles, sort of the things that are most damaging Ukrainian civilian and critical national infrastructure. But it's not just about the launchers, it's about the number of interceptors, it's about the ammunition as well, and that's going to have to be a continuous requirement for the Ukrainians. On the F-16s, again, they'll be very, very valuable to the Ukrainians, but they're not going to be a game changer. They're not going to enable, in and of themselves, for Ukraine to take back much territory anytime soon.
We saw just horrifying images, attacks on hospitals, like where are we on the battlefield in the east, and just generally speaking, is it as dire as it has been a few months ago?
Yeah, and I think to deal with the strike first, I mean, it was pretty much deliberate policy by the Kremlin to strike on Monday ahead of the summit to try and get onto the news cycle and show those within Europe who are more timid towards Ukrainian membership and a greater role for NATO within the war to say this is what escalation might look like in your own countries. I think that's partly backfired in the sense of the Patriot systems and the other air defence systems being provided and NATO actually standing up and saying, you know, that is absolutely not acceptable. If you give them the ammunition and the capabilities, they're more than happy to hold the ground, they're more than happy to take large-scale casualties, but the Russians are taking more. You know, in the last 6 weeks, it seems that an average of about 1,200 Russians have either been died or killed or wounded on the battlefield. That's a battle group a day, but they're still on the offensive. So it just shows how difficult the position on the ground at the moment is.
Well, one of the ambitions for this summit was to make permanent or institutionalise NATO's military support for Ukraine so that in the future, the Ukrainian army can have a reliable source of weapons, of air defence systems, and for its soldiers to be properly trained. But another reason is that if Donald Trump does end up back in the White House, he'll find it harder to end or reverse Ukraine's NATO trajectory.